changing the, I think that would be, for me, would be a significant change in the character and the impact of the area. Driving past that, having that, especially with the 30-foot tower, slides and such. And then I'm also concerned about the impact that all of those RV sites will have on the side of the land. Obviously, you're putting in nature, which, as you referenced, are right now 10 sites, which have, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, have minimal impact to the land and to the area, because you come in, you put up your tent, you leave. You're disrupting a little bit, but you still have grass and trees and etc. Now you're clear cutting new trees, you're putting a concrete pad in 280 some spots, including the backing ones. You're putting in septic and electric and water, and you're essentially creating a community. You're creating a community that's what we support or outsides of what our community currently is. So you're adding all of that to the town. And of course, that also impacts then the emergency services too, because you potentially have that drain on ambulance, fire.
There are the new parking areas south of 97. There's not, I mean, generally along the river, there's not substantial screening really involved. One of my concerns relates to temperature with the new parking areas, certain large surface parking lots that don't appear to have a plan for perimeter planting, especially along the river. Obviously, everybody knows parking lots get hot. The water that hits them also gets hot, goes into the river. And so not only will the landscaping along the river help screen the development from all of the other users on the river, but it would help with sort of mitigate some of the stormwater effects of the large surface parking lots.
There are a couple of questions about floodwaters, and the responses talk about the floodway. For example, like H on that page, the project does not involve any development or disturbance in the floodway, which is fine, but I think the question there and in two other places about the floodplain in general and not just the floodway, so they should be sure to address the answers to the entire floodplain. Again, there's something about encroachments.
That's also on page 78 and 80.
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. When you go through the environmental impact study, information comes up more than one time. Usually there's a lot of repetition. So the comments are identifying where we saw, but it pertains and would need to be changed throughout the entire activity.
What is your question?
Well, so the question was, for example, the expected height, velocity, duration, rate of rise, and sediment transport of the floodwaters expected at the site. And the answer was the project does not involve any development or disturbance in the floodway.
Okay.
But that's not really answering the question. And then on page 78, again, it's asking about the danger to life and property due to increased flood velocities caused by encroachments. And the answer is the project will not encroach on the floodway, but that's not really answering the question.
And then this is a general comment as well, that throughout the environmental impact study, there's comments where they don't see that there's any adverse impact, and subsequently there's no mitigation that's necessary. However, us all not being psychic, and emergencies and accidents and situations do happen, I think that there needs to be in here that in the event of any situation, that at the very least the town will be contacted right away, and any other appropriate authorities, so any local, state, federal authorities that need to be contacted, depending on what the emergency or what the accident was, that they would respond as appropriate or as required, and that any mitigation will be at the entire expense of the owner of the FIMFO property.
So you just want to know what their response protocol is for an emergency?
Indicate, I don't know if it's a response, or just that there's, in the case of emergency that we haven't identified because we don't know what's going to come up, that they will notify, the response then I guess would be that they will notify the town, they will report it to the town. In consultation with the town, then they'll be identified, do we have to let any other state, federal agencies know what happened? What is the mitigation plan that needs to occur? And it's on their dime that they're going to come up with that. And that's throughout the document for those that are not seen or not identified or not known, but could be as a form of just protection to the town.
This sort of piggybacks, I think, on what you were just saying, or is at least tangentially related. The mitigation sections throughout, most of them include an impact statement, either de minimis impact expected, no adverse impact expected, but not all of them do. And so it would be helpful if they were consistent in including impact statements in all of the mitigation sections, like, because most of them, that's where most of them are now. So stormwater, I think, is one that doesn't have one, and I don't know, there's a couple others.
Well, yeah,
just for consistency.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And just to say, which reminded me, like for as an example with the well, so there's been some conversations about neighboring wells, the potential impact. There's not a belief that there's impact. They ran some studies in the middle of winter, I believe, or November. I don't think it was in the summertime when we had no rain or etc. So we actually, that's an example, to me, that's an example of potential impact to reducing the neighbors' wells. Might not be. However, what happens then? Now all of a sudden the neighbors don't have water. To me, then that becomes the impact that and the mitigation that's on the responsibility of FIMFO to get their neighbors water again, and whatever cost that is associated with that.
So I think the National Park Service and the Upper Delaware Council really raised a lot of really powerful and important points when it comes to the potential implications of the FIMFO project for the landscape, for the river, for the community and community character. We heard some good points raised by some of the planning board members as well. And so now we're just going to have to wait and see what they put down on paper.